I think there's going to be multiple things that will factor into how we practice and how we prepare. It's more of the logistics will be much different, but as far as getting ready for games, that'll be the same. So to summarize, what I tell you is number one is depth. Depth is a concern because we've lost guys that have graduated, guys that have gone on to the NFL draft, and then you don't have your influx of new freshmen yet. So you've lost roster size just due to being January, just because you're in the spring. Then when you add the factors of COVID, when you start losing players to whether it be contact tracing or having COVID itself, you're going to lose some more players that way. So depth is a concern. So I think the logistics of practice will be a focus of preparing everybody. The entire roster has to be ready to play, and so you're going to have to work and spend a lot more time with your second and third unit to make sure they're prepared to be the first unit, because you may have to make that adjustment as late as a Friday before the game on that particular day. So all special teams, offense and defense, will have to have a minimum of a 3 deep that gets equal amount of practice time to logistically prepare and be ready for football games. So I think that's the first big one. The second highlight would be the practice, where to practice. When you're playing outside, you need to experience the elements of outside during that week of practice. So that's important. So where that practice is and how to create that practice for us is a logistical thing that we have to find a way to conquer that challenge. And then when we get to play inside, we also have the challenges of dome availability, because now all sports are playing this spring and not just us. So there's the sharing of the dome, because there are other sports and other events that are going to happen in the dome, whether it be a track meet or a sports show or another type of event. So those are probably the two biggest things that will be going on behind the scenes. But as far as game planning and getting ready to play, that will be the same.
Nelly, I want to jump on in, guys.
Mark, what's your practice schedule going to look like then this spring?
Well, we'll end up this spring. Well, actually, our first day of practice is actually tomorrow. So we can put the helmets on. So the first day of helmets is tomorrow. So by NCAA rule, you get 5 days of acclimatization, which is getting acclimated to back on the practice field. So 2 days of helmets only, then 2 days of shoulder pads and helmets, and then your full pads. So Thursday and Friday will be our helmets only practice, and we'll actually practice at the Sportsplex. And then Friday will be the first day that the turf gets rolled out. So we'll be in the dome on Saturday morning, and then classes start on Monday. So we immediately go into an in-season form that classes during the day, practice at 3 in the afternoon, and then classes back at night. So we'll be in fall form as early as Monday.
Coach, obviously you're preparing to play some games. What are your biggest areas of concern, or maybe a better word, focus, leading up to that first home opener?
Well, I've kind of covered. I really do believe the focus will be getting 3 units ready to play, which is the entire team. You're probably really activated, ready to play, probably 80 guys, give or take, instead of 105. So every position, every person is going to have a role and be effective in that role. So thus what we can actually scheme and install so that everybody can handle it, and you can make quick adjustments, and as well as being able to adapt to the players' skill set when they take the field. So I think you got to have the ability to adapt within your plan to play to the strength of your talent, as well as the scheme. You're going to have the ability to adapt with players interchangeable that can play. So we're going to line up every time we get a chance to line up, and we have to anticipate that we will be affected by COVID just like the guys in the fall. And if I could say anything to you guys, what I'd also hit on is we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We had the opportunity to watch the college football and NFL football experience all this. And I was watching in-depthly and listening in-depthly. You know, the Denver Broncos lost all their running backs. You know, maybe another team in the NFL lost all their quarterbacks, had to play a receiver at quarterback. I watched the NFL college. Ohio State had to play with a scout team corner essentially in the semifinal game to get to the championship game due to COVID. So in my regard, if Ohio State and the NFL and the NBA, if they had COVID problems, you know, they have a lot better chance of protecting against it than we do. So I'm going to learn from them that we need to be able to adapt because we have to anticipate that it will happen. Is how we adjust when it happens, I think, will be the ability to win or lose. So we're making those plans because we had the advantage of watching other people experience this and then learn from them by talking to them, that what worked for you versus, you know, what didn't work for maybe some other teams out there. We've been on the phone the whole time in the fall, listening and learning from an Iowa State as much as from an Ohio State. And that was our advantage if we would just listen and learn from it and hopefully apply what we've learned.
Mark, given how much success you guys have had, especially in recent years, with being multiple defensively with your fronts, the circumstances surrounding this season, having 3 different units ready to play on any given weekend, do you think that maybe chips away at your ability to have that formational versatility, or do you guys have plans in place where, despite having to get 3 units ready, you anticipate being able to do what you've been doing in recent years on defense?
I look at it as an opportunity here because there's challenges, but I think by being multiple, and when you say multiple, you're going from a 4-man front to a 3-man front sometimes in the same game, and that's already on film, so that's no secret. But what I would tell you is I think it's very opportunistic for us that should we get hit at a position that we got the capabilities of being a 4-man front team, okay, should we get hurt in the secondary, and we have the opportunity to be a 3-man front team should we get hit in our front. So I think we have the ability to scheme and make quick alterations due to depth, if you will, of what happens as we progress to the season. So we're fortunate, I believe, and then even defensively, I'm very fortunate to have the staff with that kind of experience to be able to make that kind of adjustment in teaching, as much as the players being able to adjust with understanding what their role is. So I think it's an advantage for us, or an opportunity for us to take advantage of something like that.
Flipping over to the offense real quick. Obviously, a lot of fans are going to be really excited to see Will play again, see Isaiah, a whole bunch of other guys. You touched on there, Coach Watson, Coach Gans, they're on the staff now. Coach Mahaffey's got a year of experience calling plays. How much different, if at all? Anything in particular that sticks out about this year's offense compared to what it looked like when we saw you guys play last?
Well, I think my expectation is to see a lot of growth there because it was the first time for all of them last year, players and coaches alike. So it was putting a bunch of people together to get to understand each other, but everybody, as far as terminology, communication, verbal as much as visual communication, and understanding how that all fits together so players can execute at a very high tempo. So that growth moving into this season, same guys are sitting in that room, and same players are on that field. So I think we have another huge opportunity there to show a lot of growth. And you know, the growth of the quarterback is just like the whole team on offense, if you want to look at it like that, is you got a redshirt freshman quarterback that was learning under fire last year. Now he's got 1 year under his belt. You could say the same thing for the entire offense right now, as much as the offensive coaching staff. So I think, again, we've got an opportunity that's presented to us that we could really take as a very positive if we take that approach.
Mark, how much did you learn about your team after fall practice?
I learned how much we were behind. You know, you thought you were coming out of that thing with all the extra time and no practice and spring ball, and you know, what I think I really learned is, not in a negative way we're behind, but I think we anticipated that it'd be the same as a spring ball, and it's not. We have to reacquaint our team to how to play together, because guys, this has gone on for 10 months. Here's the craziness of it when you put a clock on it. This started in March, all right? And we thought we'd be playing in August. We're 10 months removed from that time slot. And a lot happens in 10 months when you're dealing with containment and you know, everybody's kind of living in their own areas and their own houses and their own places. We got to come back in the fall to a degree, but not to the fullest extent, because with all the separation and the living apart and the Zoom meetings. We didn't have team meetings. We had Zoom meetings. So it wasn't the same. And I think what became clear is the team is more important than the talent. And I think that's the biggest thing that I learned from our own team, as much as watching others, that we got to visualize, actually see that team can overcome talent, and the team is what's going to really show up when we hit the dome floor and we get in these football games. I think that's what's going to stand out when this is all done. I think what we will all see in the end is that the best teams will be there in the end.
Coach, with Indiana State selecting not to participate, will there be some adjustments in the schedule throughout the Valley?
Yeah, they're working on that right now, to be honest with you. They came out with an original schedule to adapt right after they said that we're going to play an 8-game conference-only schedule. We developed that schedule. We were looking at that schedule and preparing for that schedule, all the way to hotel rooms and meals and flights and buses and trains, or got all these things going on. And then when Indiana State opted out last week, now they are looking at the fact, can we redesign the whole schedule so everybody gets 8 games again? Because now we have enough teams to do that. Before, you weren't playing 2 teams. Now with the dropout of 1, it actually makes that logistical calendar easier, but it becomes harder for us because we were prepared for the other one. So now scratch that one. That's the second schedule. We're on our third or fourth schedule right now as far as getting ready to play. So I just roll with the punches anymore. You just got to smile about it, bite your lip a little bit, and adapt, because we've all had to do that. But in this season scheduling, don't get worked up about it, and just get your team ready to play. And shoot, we might get in the middle of the season and flop games like the BCS did. They're finding teams on Tuesday to play on Saturday. Might happen. So just get mentally prepared for it and deal with it. So we'll do it the same thing. Whatever they throw at us, we'll adapt, and we'll get ready to play that game.
Mark, who's out for the start of camp here?
Wolf is out. I was just thinking who they are. Wolf is out. Logan's out. I know there's more. I'm just trying to think of who it is, and I'm kind of brain dead on that right now. I'm not trying to hide it from you. I know there's more.
Yeah.
Logan's the big name.
Okay.
The other ones, we already know that Kalarevic and Xavier are gone. Okay, and they both graduated. You got Spencer and Ellerson are going to play in the Senior Bowl on January 25th, this Saturday, which is the first time in UNI history that we've had 2 guys in the Senior Bowl. So I thought that was pretty cool, and so we get to watch them. And then, so there's 5 good football players. You have Wolf out, which is another starter, another difference maker. So those are the ones that quickly come to mind right now. And if I come up with the other one before we're done, I'll tell you. But that's the ones I can think of right now.
We talked a little bit about the offense earlier. Will, I think most people who watch football know that a quarterback's best friend is a good running game, and that can certainly help him elevate his play at the position this year. So what are you seeing at that running back position. You had a handful of different guys who carried the ball for you last season. You battled some injuries there. You've got some transfers in. You got a freshman to look at. What do you see at the running back position heading into camp?
Well, we need 3, no less than 2, and we need. Of course, you got Hoosman and Dom will be the 2 workhorses, and then McCabe has really did a nice job in the off season. So I really like how he's come along in the back end, and then whoever surfaces after that between Jalen Richardson and Kendall Robinson, who surfaces after that is out there. Now, we still have the capability of moving people back there too now. That and I'll look at that as well. But I feel comfortable with Dom and Tyler being the 2 guys that we'll lean on, and then McCabe I put right up there with those 2 because of how he came along. He was the one that was a nice surprise, and I don't want to call it a surprise, but he was the one that came along far enough that he gave us a lot more depth than maybe what I anticipated back in October. So that was good to find out. And then I did come up. I knew I was missing a big name, and it's Ellis. So Ellis will not be able to go this spring either. So Ellis and Wolf are the 2 that will be out for the offense this spring.
Would you rule them out for the entirety of the spring season?
Right now I would. We can be optimistic about that, but I'd rather be plan for not having them, and if we get them, it's a bonus. But I would plan not to have them, particularly in the first half of the season.
Is there a open competition at punter, or does Kibbe have that locked down? I know you got a couple new faces, including the local kid, Kale Losher, that can kick it. What's the situation at punter?
Well, we've got, right now we have, of course, Kibbe was back there. Murphy has really done a nice job of developing himself as a punter. So I really feel comfortable with him in a lot of roles on special teams. And he's really taken a leadership role of the special teams, particularly through these practices and walkthroughs he had. I mean, he's really done a nice job this past 10 months of guiding that group in training. So Murph is ready to be a starting punter. Kibbe could be a starting punter. And then we do have a transfer from Drake, Ross Kennedy, who's a possible punter. So he'll come into the mix to see where he lands in that mix as well. So we have a couple walk-ons that will come in and challenge for the position, but Murph and Kibbe are established people we trust.
What's it like to hear that your next regular season game you coach is going to be on February 19th on a Friday night?
Different. It's even more different trying to coach in the middle of winter. So it feels like football when you're at practice. It doesn't feel like football going to practice or coming into work because snow's flying and the wind's blowing. And this morning when I woke up and came into the office this morning with that wind blowing, and last night when it was blowing, we're sitting in Youngstown in February. I'm going, how do we prepare for this during that week? So the domes are nice. We've got 4 indoor games, but we also have 4 outdoor games. So it's managing that and preparing for that because, those games the weather are definitely going to play factors in games right now, no matter where you're at, because of the element of wind and cold and frozen surfaces. So, yeah, I've thought about that as much as even to what kind of football we're going to use, because that football gets pretty hard when it's below 10 degrees. Just go outside tonight and play catch with a football, and you'll find out what's it like. The football feels like a baseball. Anything else you need, guys?
I'm good, Coach. Thanks for coming on today.
Well, thanks, Coach.
You bet. Hey, the other thing we got to do is we got to fix your backdrop, Nelly. Come on, man. So, hey guys, it's just good to see you, man. We're the only show. The cool part about this, again, there's challenges, but man, we are the only division that are playing this spring. So the only football you're going to find this spring is in the FCS, and I think that's another huge opportunity. So we just have to find a way to get a lot of positive excitement, because there is that from this. Instead of looking at the negatives, there's a lot of positives too as well. So, and that's one that's, heck, I've already had a lot of people say, are you going to let fans in? Are fans going to get in? Because, man, what a great way to spend a Friday night in February, or a Saturday night in March, that when we can't go outside, if we get an opportunity to go out and come in the dome and watch the game, what a great opportunity to come watch a football game when it's really not, we're used to that either. So I think it's a great way to beat cabin fever, and hopefully we'll be able to progress the number of people that can come in the dome with whatever they're giving us to help us. What are they calling that? Vaccine is the word I'm looking for. So with the vaccine out there, shoot, we might be able to get some decent crowds too, we hope. But it's exciting, so hey, let's roll with the punches and see what happens.